Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tech-Mex podcast. We're your hosts, Eric and Mando, and this is episode 71. We're bringing you the top stories of Bitcoin tech and wealth so you too can replace your salary with Bitcoin options. Dale.
I like that. By the way, you almost missed like 60 something. It's still like the 60s,
It's
huh?
like, oh man, we went back in time. That always gets me. 70, 70.
Cool. What do we got, man?
All right. Well, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to start off with a couple of interesting articles, but then we're going to jump into some options talk. A lot of y'all have asked us about this, and we've been looking into it also since IBIT's kind of new and options are new, but we're going to get into it. But first, we do want to cover some interesting news. This week, we did see that Trump media is starting to file some trademarks for investment products targeting Bitcoin. So this is really interesting. So they applied to trademark 6 investment products tracking Bitcoin and U.S. industries, including Truth.fi, Bitcoin plus ETF. So this move could mean that there's some new opportunities and risks for some of the Bitcoin investors here. Let me go ahead and share just kind of share the screen here just to kind of show our, the new administration here and what their plans are. We see that so when we're talking about ETFs and what we've seen here previously, we see that in general these ETFs are going to make the ETFs more accessible to some of our mainstream investors. It's generally going to be good for, increased adoption, increased legitimacy. I think the fact that this is coming out of Trump's camp, there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to follow this and just kind of jump on board right away. But it's also going to make it easier to jump onto Bitcoin investments. We obviously already have like IBIT ETFs and things like that, but this is just going to give people more options. I'm assuming if this is coming out of his camp, he's going to get a cut of some sort. What do you think about this, Bondo?
I mean, he lives in New York, or at least where he was living, and he has his Trump Tower. That was his residence, if I remember, before he was just going into all of these elections and all of that. Mm-hmm. So Wall Street is kind of how they make the money over there. There's a bunch of businesses there in New York. Mm-hmm. But we know that the hedge funds and all of the stock market bros, traders and so on, they're there, right? So, and I feel that he sees an opportunity. Don't forget, he's a business person, right? So he sees an opportunity. This is like bonanza. This is like a new way. As might as well just have different instruments. I mean, we saw it even with the meme. Have some fun with the meme Trump coin, right? So I feel that now, okay, he did the fun one. I think that he's thinking to just start preparing to do the real one, which is like a fully engage with the FIDC and as well with SEC to be able to just start selling another product, which is the same thing. It's just like a wrapper for an ETF to be able to mask it, to have more options. But yeah, that's what I take. It's fine, right? But I will not prefer to use that one. I kind of prefer the bankers.
I think you're right on with that. But I wonder if he's going to try to push this to be included into the digital asset stockpile. There's a little conflict of interest there, maybe.
Maybe a little bit of conflict of interest. Yes, there is a huge conflict of interest if they do it, but it will not surprise me if he's able to pull it off. I don't know. I don't know how even the bankers will take that, right? So for me, BlackRock, they know how to play that game, right? They a lot of the ETFs, they are like the ones that we know, like S&P 500, right? Like the SPY, the Qs, they're like BlackRock. They're underneath. And now with the Bitcoin one is the IBIT one. So I think that maybe they know what they're doing, right? So there are some people that they like the brand for Trump. Not sure who is behind, like who is helping them to do all of these clearance. They call them clearance house. We'll see. Maybe underneath, maybe even is BlackRock, right? Who knows?
Yeah, that's a good point. But in any case, I think just in general, it's going to bring a little bit more eyes to Bitcoin, to what it's doing for the nation in terms of the Bitcoin reserve. So it'll be good. Competition is good too. Maybe it'll make BlackRock lower their fees or something like that. You never know. But in any case, if you're trying to diversify into different Bitcoin portfolios or ETFs, things like that, there's going to be a few more on the block now. I thought
Yeah,
that was very, very interesting there.
I mean, but again, there is you see it already. Some of the other ones, right? Fidelity has their FBTC. I love that name.
FBTC.
I love that name.
They're so creative.
Yes. So, and maybe it's gonna be TBTC, right? Tron BTC. Like, who
Yeah.
knows what it will be the name on the ETF for that. Uh, but yeah, I think that's what we can expect. It's just more competition. But we see it with the mutual funds. Any hedge fund that they are trying to track the S&P 500. It's just the idea and the concept. They are
Mhm.
just replicating the percentages to make the S&P 500. Uh, I mean, potentially, if you have enough cash, you can do it too, right? Like your own Ramirez.
Tech-Mex fund.
Tex-Mex, exactly. Well, I think that we still need a little bit more permits and all of that to get clear
Yeah.
to get a fund. But
Yeah, so true. Well, speaking of branding, did you see this week what MicroStrategy was up to?
man, I just feel that guy is like on shrooms on something because like the guy is so in tune with what he needs to, right? So yes, I did see it, and now it's called MicroStrategy unveils the new name, right? And it's called
Yeah.
Drums Please Strategy. I mean, he doesn't want it to be a micro strategy for Bitcoin, right? He just wants to be the strategy. What's your take, man?
Very interesting. I guess it really does update folks into realizing that their old software company is now a little bit different, right? That's Of course, MicroStrategy was kind of this a BI company or a business intelligence company. They did analytics and they had a tool out there that helped you make your charts and your dashboards and stuff like that. But uh, now that it seems like they are going full bore into all right Bitcoin mode, right? I mean, that's the balance sheet has been taken over by Bitcoin. It seems so. That's their future strategy. I like how they put the little B on the strategy, so it's no longer a micro strategy. It's now strategy Bitcoin. It's pretty
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, I think that they were playing with the how you see it, like the register brand that they put usually an R, at
Yeah.
the brands. I felt that was the stamp, boom, the Bitcoin stamp of awesome. Once
Trademark,
again,
trademark.
yeah, once again, this guy he knows the Bitcoiners, he knows the maxis, right? He very messiah.
Hmm.
Right? It's like this, and no wonder why people think that is a cult, right? The Bitcoiners are in a cult. Who knows? But we are laughing to the bank, right?
That's true. He's done a lot for the community, and a lot of people were making a big deal about. I think he paused, like it was the first week in like several months that he didn't buy Bitcoin, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on? MicroStrategy stopped buying Bitcoin." But I think they had some other things going on. They were focusing on their rebranding here, so he did mention, "Hey guys, don't worry. Uh, we're just working on a rebranding. They're going to step up their investments, right? Like we mentioned, I think last time, he's got a little bit of ways to catch up to Satoshi. So I think they're going to try and make it to see if they can get to 1 million Bitcoin. That might be pretty interesting of a target there. But they are planning on ramping up their purchases. They're continuing to raise capital. Uh, they're always buying. So it's good for the market for sure.
Dude. Guess who got 5% of a strategy, or in this case, MicroStrategy, right?
Their buddies
BlackRock.
BlackRock.
Man, that Larry Fink is everywhere. So I'll give them that, right? Like they run the planet, whether we like it or not. They have so much money that they can just do these investments. So it's like if they think that you might have a chance, like in this case, obviously they build the whole ETF. Now they are like pro Bitcoiners, right? And it's like, well,
Hmm.
Michael Saylor as might as well just to have a good chunk, but yes, they also are a good investor in MicroStrategy as well.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting. A lot of people use MicroStrategy as like maybe an
A proxy.
alternative or as a proxy for Bitcoin. So it's very interesting to see. I know they started talking about things like that strategy is going to be aiming for different yields, like BTC yields of like 15% over the next few years compared to the current 6 to 8%. So it's interesting to see how they are using Bitcoin within their financial company and their financial reporting to keep it healthy, to keep it going, to keep it growing. I mean, right now this thing it's big, and imagine if the market cap of Bitcoin, like doubles, triples, quadruples, like what people are anticipating it's going to do. Strategy is going to be huge.
I it's the the stock market bros, they don't even see, like they didn't see like this was happening, right? It's like, oh, it caught them by surprise how this
Hmm.
instrument, it became so popular, right? And now it's actually being offered, and a lot of companies, they're trying to figure out, is it maybe 2% too small? Because now that's what actually is helping them to increase their profits, right? For even for other funds. So the perspective that they can have now a strategy, because in some cases they might not be able to buy BTC for whatever reason, right? The part of their fund didn't allow them to even have that because it was a speculative. It's still being tagged as very speculative.
Hmm.
Then MicroStrategy was, well, it's a part of the S&P 500. It's a company. It's a technology company. They were actually buying into that stock. So that's the reason why almost MicroStrategy is moving almost at the double of what BTC, and also in their volatility. And it is a proxy, right? It's like if you want to be leveraged almost 2x from Bitcoin, then just get MicroStrategy.
Exactly. And moving into kind of our next topic about options, MicroStrategy does also have an option tree where you're able to use them also to get premium. So let's go ahead and move into our next topic about options. I know when we made that trip to Austin a few months back to talk with the CEO of Flippa, in that road trip, they announced that, hey, finally, that we were going to have options available to use with IBIT. And since then, it's become more than just IBIT in terms of Bitcoin ETFs. There are several others that are also now have option trees. So we thought, now might be a good time now that, there's a few more options out there in terms of being able to do options with Bitcoin ETFs. Now's a good time to maybe do an intro and explainer for some of those that maybe are not have not done them before or are trying to learn like the basics. I myself hadn't done options before this, so I think it's a great opportunity to jump into something new, and it seems to be somewhat lucrative if you can set up a strategy for yourself that is very consistent.
I mean, it is like the dream, right? For most people, it's like, hey, I just push a couple buttons, and I just make money anywhere in the world, right? Like whether you're on the beach or whatever, right? So it sounds like it, right? Obviously, there is a lot of skill to be able to do it, but I feel that there's only a little bit of knowledge. And again, we are only two dudes on the internet.
Yeah.
We are not financial advisors, so do your own research, right? Don't do anything that we're telling you. It's just
That's
our
true.
own experiences, right? So um, I was super excited that day. I mentioned it on the pod. I really like how we are recording this, and you can just go back to our previous episodes. All of the shit that we said, they're just happening and happening, right? So and then right now we are telling you that you can replace your income, because you can. You have to have some, and we'll go through some of the process and the numbers. But it's just funny to me that people sometimes don't believe us, right? Like, oh, these two Mexicans.
What are they
Yes.
talking about?
I know how to cut my grass, but also I know advanced shit, right? So, uh,
Skills.
skills. We are stacking skills, baby,
That's right.
to stack the paper. So, um, I was very excited in that point because I have been trading options for a while, in
Hmm.
and out, right? Sometimes I like the analogy of fishing, and we'll cover it because I feel that sometimes trading is like that. There might be fish in some area. You go and fish, you get your fish, and sometimes maybe there's not enough fish. Then you have to look for another spot, right? And I feel that that's the case, right? But right now, I can tell you there's a lot of fish there. Just go and get it. Don't be stupid. Just get the fish. It's like literally how they call it here, fishing in a barrel. Like
Okay, yeah, the game, the carnival game.
exactly. It's just so easy that like you should just do it. It's so easy, right? Like no matter what you do, you just will get some fish.
All right.
I was super excited because we got the instrument. I was looking. I got IBIT in 2024, right? Like literally when I said that it was coming out, we were doing the pod. I just got into it, right? I didn't care about the other ones. There was a huddle. There was another one. I just go with the big guys, right? Like in this case Fidelity and BlackRock. But I for whatever reason I preferred IBIT, and that was the first one that they actually started getting options. Then I started doing transactions. But yeah, and that's when we were kind of talking about in the pod, right? Like the options, why they were important.
Hmm. So, what is IBIT? So let's just start there because we were saying IBIT, we're saying ETFs. Explain to the folks what is IBIT.
So IBIT is an instrument, and again every this is what is upset me a little bit because I feel that any industry that you go, they have their own lingo. And if you don't learn that lingo, they it's a barrier for you to be able to understand these concepts. And it's very in my mind when you already understand the concepts, they're not very advanced. Basically, what is IBIT is an ETF. And as you say, well, what is an ETF? It's basically an instrument. And again, what is an instrument, right? You keep going back and back and back, right? But what it is just an asset. Okay, there's another term there, right? So you can go all different layers. But for me to tell you, it's just a way for you to be able to buy Bitcoin without buying Bitcoin. And
Yep.
guess what? This is nothing new. We have an ETF for oil. Like not necessarily. Let's say that you want to trade oil. Guess what? You don't have to have the barrels of oil in your garage. Then you go and buy a stock. You buy a paper, right? Like and electronically now, because it used to be by the phone in a couple decades ago, but now it's just through your phone with Robinhood or with the broker, interactive brokers, Fidelity, Schwab, whatever is your broker of your liking. So IBIT is that instrument to allow you to buy Bitcoin in your exchange, because it is complex. Let's be honest. Having a wallet, understanding security, having a hardware key, you're putting barriers as well there, right? And even our friends that they are like techies, sometimes they feel it like, oh man, this is difficult. I don't want to mess it up because it's your money, right? Like some people are putting big amount of money compared to maybe they're already used to getting stocks, because everybody gets a stock if you're working for a 500 fortune company in America. It's very likely that you have a 401k. Whether you like it or not, you are forced to get some savings in the stock market. So a lot of people kind of know in America the stocks. So that's what it is. Hopefully, maybe do you want to round anything there or maybe explain something there, Eric?
Yeah. So I think, yeah, at the very basics, like IBIT is like the stock ticker number. So, like when you go, if you want to go buy a stock, You go look for the stock name. This is IBIT, IBIT, and it comes from BlackRock. It's BlackRock's offering of a Bitcoin ETF. ETF is usually like a bunch of different funds, all just kind of glued together into one. So you can buy a diversified, or it can be all oil companies, or it can be all whatever type of companies. In this case, it's just Bitcoin. They just wrapped Bitcoin into an ETF so you can buy it as easy as you can buy a stock. That's all it is. So IBIT, IBIT, you look it up, you can see the price. And when you look at the price, you're going to see that it's a different price than what Bitcoin is, right? Bitcoin is like at 100K or so right now. IBIT's going to be like in the 50s right now, 50s. So
Yeah.
for those of y'all that are interested, like, oh, I feel like I can buy more shares of IBIT than you can of Bitcoin. There is like a calculation that is an actual Bitcoin equivalent, but for the most part, it doesn't matter too much because we're going to be working like in percentages and stuff like that. But that's what it is. IBIT. When if you're interested in buying it, you can go to your brokerage, Fidelity, Schwab, whatever it is, and you can buy IBIT, and it's at 50 something dollars right now.
55. And again, it moves right on the price. So now let's say that you have your shares, and now let's try just to kind of tell you the strategy here, right? So you get a maybe 100 shares, which it will be 5,000. Right now, this price is $5,500, right? And some people have them, some people don't, right? And obviously, you can scale it. I was telling Eric outside that I always recommend people to buy in certain amounts, because at least if you want to play with options, because now we are putting another layer, right? An option. But before I move there, is like you have to get your shares, which stocks and shares is almost equivalent. It implies that you are putting some money, so that way you are playing the game, the best casino of all, which is the stock market.
Pretty much.
Yes. So that way, my recommendation, like I said, is to move in 100 shares. Sometimes you might not be able to do what you can in order to get 100 shares. Why 100 shares? Is because then you can start using other instruments, which is basically you can go into options. And again, you can buy options and all of that. I don't want to get into it because it's a bunch of different things there. But there is one strategy that we want to talk today, which is called a cover call. And basically, what it requires for you is to be able to have at least 100 shares, so you can sell one contract. Um, uh, any questions there?
Yeah. So yeah, I think right on. So in order to play the game, buy 100 shares of IBIT, because in order to trade an option contract, it takes 100 shares. So 100 shares equals one contract of an option. And covered calls, all that really means is that when you're doing options, a covered call means that you're going to sell the option of someone else to buy your shares at a certain price, but you already own those shares, so you don't have to go out and buy them and then sell it to them. You already have them, so there's a little bit of less risk there.
You're learning this, Eric. I think that for the audience, because for me, I have been doing it for a while. It's very hard for me to know what is will be interesting for the audience that they are trying to get into. It's like these two Mexicans telling me that I can replace my salary with with IBIT options. It's like what type of questions when you are thinking right now, right? Because you also are thinking in that way. What
Mhm.
are the things that you are going through? Uh, so that way, maybe some of the audience is going through the same path.
So obviously, when you're talking about options, when you look up options and you look up YouTube videos of options and things like that, you see there's a bunch of strategies. A lot of people are doing different things, and you're just like, what is the strategy that's going to be the easiest, that's the most consistent, that's like the safest, that's going to work for me, that I can do, um, and not try to get cute or get fancy with the different things. I just want something simple that's going to work most of the time. And so that's why I landed on covered calls. I was talking to my buddy ChatGPT, and I explained my situation. Hey, I've got some IBIT or I've got some Bitcoin ETF shares. How can I use that, something I already have, in order to make money to be able to replace my monthly income that I have right now? So after some back and forth, like an hour of talking with ChatGPT and explaining to them my thoughts and what I wanted, and maybe like the my concerns or things I wanted to avoid in terms of risk, we came up with this strategy of using covered calls, which is a very well understood concept, and then cash secured puts. The thing is, in order to do this, you either already have to have the money to buy the stock, or in this case, IBIT, or you already have to have the actual stocks, IBIT. And so, but that's the key to this, is that you already own it, or you can easily, or you have the cash to buy it, and then you can kind of bounce back and forth between these two strategies. And so, learn about it, just read about it. It's not like super complicated. Like it you can understand it in like just a few minutes, but um, because it's almost like people talking code when you're using all the jargon. It's like, okay, this seems really complicated, but in actuality, no, it's very, very simple, very straightforward. It's just
It is
a way
very
of
simple.
gatekeeping.
And I think that that's what we're trying to do with this episode, to explain everyone. Like a lot of moms, they are doing it, right? When they go and clip some coupons, they understand the concept of a coupon, which is like, hey, if I buy this, if I get this coupon, the price of any product, right, like your detergent or your chicken, whatever it is, it gives you that discount. That's a call. If you understand a coupon, that's a call. And basically, that's what you're doing. You're doing a bet with somebody else that the price is not going to reach to that level. So the reason why also for a cover call is less risky is because you already are having your stocks. You are covering that with something that you believe that is going to keep going up. um, I think that the skill to be able to kind of trade them is for you to know at what price, right? Because at the end of the day, you can play around with the risk to say on the deltas. And I'm going to throw some words here because it will be the words that you have to pay attention when you're buying the options. By the way, the person that the team that invented kind of the pricing of the options contracts, they got the Nobel Prize. That's how novel it was, that theory, right? To be able to price dynamically that. And let me just explain a little bit what is an option, so that way maybe some people that they have heard that, but maybe they don't truly know, is that options are like it's a contract between the two parties on the price, and it is equivalent to 100 shares. And then there are two type of instruments, which is a call and a put. And it's funny because with those two instruments, you can play the stock market in a very different way. You can play it that maybe you want to bracket it if the price is between a certain region, or if you want to play volatility with the strangles, or you can do maybe bracket the whole market in certain areas. That's an iron condor. And again, you might hear like, oh, what the heck is all of this? Don't get cute. Don't get fancy. Fancy fails. Cover call. You get 100 shares and you sell one contract. That's it, and that's how it is.
Mhm.
Literally, you just click the button, get 100 shares, right? Then, if you want to play around, you can see it with one contract. And I was helping my friend to explain him, because again, all of this it might sound complex, but it's not. And I was guiding through how to do it on his broker with Robinhood, and it was straightforward, right? You get 100 shares, and then now you cover call. Ultimately, what is happening is that you can reduce your cost basis. So if you had 100 shares in a 55 with the expiration date, he was able to get $50, which is almost one share. So instead of having 100 shares, now he has 101 shares, right? And that was only with the amount that he won. But in the case of other people, they might want to replace their salary.
Yeah. So let's simplify this even more, because we're jumping around a little bit, but really the key here is Get one contract of Bitcoin, IBIT. Just get one. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, I'm willing to sell this to you. If I bought it at 50, I'm willing to sell it to you at 60. And someone might be like, okay, I'll buy it from you at 60. And for giving me the opportunity to do that, I'm going to give you $1,000 right now, just for having the option. And that's where you actually get your income. So you don't actually have to sell your Bitcoin. You don't have to actually have to sell your IBIT to make money, because what you're doing here is you're selling a contract, and it's that contract that is that $1,000. So if you have enough contracts, let's say you can make $1,000 per contract, you can sell 10 contracts and make $10,000, and this executes instantly once you push the button. Okay. So that's how people are able to do this. So first, you have to get a stock, whether it's IBIT or something else, up to you. But IBIT, we're Bitcoiners, so we like IBIT. You buy a contract's worth of stock, which would be 100 shares of IBIT. You give someone the opportunity to buy your stock at a higher price. And if it doesn't hit that price, you don't have to sell it to them, and you get to keep the amount that they paid you for the option of doing that. So
Yeah.
you have your initial stock, plus you have the $1,000 or the $10,000, depending on how many contracts you had available to sell them. And
And
that's how you do it. And you can do this on a weekly basis.
there is contracts for almost every Friday, right? Because it falls into the 5 days, 7 days, 14 days, and 30 days, and so on, up to even the leaves. The other way to see it is through almost like you are betting against somebody. You're betting that the price is not going to reach a price, and basically, if it doesn't reach the price, then you keep the bet, you keep the premium, and or in the broker they call it the credit. So by the way, that credit, when you are selling that contract, they are giving you that money up front. So let's say that you have, like my friend did, right? He just did it like yesterday. He had 100 shares, which it costed him $5,500. Then he sold that contract. So when he sold it, somebody paid $50 for that. You see how much it is. It's 1%. It is almost 1% of the whole amount that he put. And then the expiration date, if the price doesn't reach $60, then he'll keep that $50. That's the bet.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys can see, and I know it's a little difficult. You might want to like take some pen and paper out, just kind of jot it down in your mind. But it is as simple as we're saying it is. Okay. Of course, it can get more complex. You can tweak every single thing that we're talking about here, but all we're trying to impart here is really just the basic concept, right? If you get 100 shares of IBIT, you can sell the opportunity of someone else to buy it from you, and they're going to pay you for that opportunity. And whether it sells or not, it's okay. You still made that premium, or you still made that amount. So that can be considered your income. Now, of course, if it does sell, they're going to pay you for it. It's not like they're not going to pay you for it. They're going to pay you for your stocks. So now you have your money back again. So what do? You basically just rebuy the IBIT. So then you do it again. Of course, there's some rules about around that in terms of taxes and things like that, but that's essentially what you want to do. And we mentioned this other thing called cash secured puts. It's kind of the other side of the covered call. So it's how you get into a position, or how you buy stocks again, but you can do it at a discount, so that if your bet does go and they do it up with your stocks, they give you the money. You have the money then, and you can buy the stocks again at a discount using this cash secured put strategy. So maybe we can cover that one in our next episode. But really, this covered call is the key to be able to do this. And this works well when it's like it's a stock that you want to own. Like for us, Bitcoin is something that we want to own. So we're going to be fine. Like, okay, if it gets called away or if the other person buys your stock, we're okay with, okay, now we got the money. I'm just going to buy some more so I can just keep doing this again. And we know the price is going to go up and down again. That's not really the goal or the point of this. The goal or point of this is to collect that premium every time you do this. So if you're doing this, every week or once a month, there's different dates that you can do this on. But if you do it weekly, that's that much money. And of course, if you have a larger account, you could do it with bigger amounts. You can buy more contracts to do at the same time. So instead of doing just $1,000 that you get, you might be able to get $10,000. But again, you got to have a much bigger account, right? Because we're talking about increments of 100 shares.
Yep.
Anything you'd add there, Mondo?
Yes, and again, I'm just trying to mention this and the way it's recorded. It's gonna be so awesome when they allow retail people that they have their stash in Bitcoin to move into a broker, and you don't have to pay taxes, and you can start trading to be able to get premium. Because guess what? Now is not rat poison. Right? It is basically a way for you to be able to get some premium without having to sell your Bitcoin. And I think that that's crucial for us Bitcoiners. That is like, hey, you have a nice stash now, and then it's like, hey, you can start getting extracting some money to pay your bills or get the
Mhm.
Lambo, right? Whatever you want, depending on how big is your stash. But yeah, instead of you selling it, because I don't want it to lend it to those DeFi, right? We have seen that it has not been working properly, and for that I prefer the bankers. It's like they have been doing it. Yes, they blew up too, but they are highly regulated. They have been there for a couple hundred years. So for that, I'm okay, moving some, so that way I can just do that, so that way I can get some premium and get some paying the bills.
Yeah, that's right. And we did mention that a couple weeks ago of the in-kind treatment that they have. Right now, it's just for big players, institutional players, that they're allowing this. But like Mondo said, once it's available for retail, people like us, you know, people that have their satoshis stacked up, they can send them on over to BlackRock, and they'll give them IBIT for it without having to cause a sale and do taxes and have to track that, things like that. So that'll be very fun when that's the case. All right, so let's one more time just to nail it home. Um, One by one, I'll say for covered calls, how it works. So really, we're selling calls on IBIT that you already own to collect a premium. Okay. So again, you already own the IBIT. You're just giving someone the opportunity to buy it from you, and they're going to pay you for that opportunity. That they pay you, that's the premium, and you can collect that on a weekly basis um, for however many option contracts you want. Uh, this is all dependent on the strike selection. So we're introducing this term here, the strike price. So this is the price at which you say it'll trigger. So if right now an IBIT is at 55, you might say, okay, at $60, if it hits that price, that's when it would trigger this to occur. If not, I keep my stock and I keep the premium, right? But if it does hit that price, okay, you buy my IBIT from me, I get the money and the premium. So that's what that strike price would be. And depending on how close you select it to the current price, that's how risky it is. Because we know Bitcoin's volatile and it can move $10,000 in a day in terms of Bitcoin price or whatever the equivalent is in option price, like a $5 swing on the option price.
Yeah. So let me put some numbers just to wrap it up. This a lot of people want to make six figures. So it's like, let's put the target on 100K per year. So that means that you will have to have maybe roughly $2,000 per week. So, and we say that there are about 50 weeks for a given. So that means that we have how many shares we will have to. In this case, for the numbers that we just discussed, it was you will collect a premium of $50 per contract. If you just make the very quick numbers, that means 40 contracts, which it will be equivalent to 400 shares. That will get you to a point where you are making a year about 100K. That's the reason why we say that you can replace your salary with Bitcoin options.
Right. So, and then if you do the math, right, 400 shares at $50 a share, that's about 20K, or it would be a little bit more because it's at like 55, right? So maybe 25K. So with 25K, potentially you're making enough. Is that the number that you have, Mondo?
I just did the numbers. It will be close to no, a week. If you are depending on your strike price, depending on your deltas and all of that, but you can
Mm-hmm.
get maybe per contract you're getting $50. That means that per week you're gonna be getting maybe $2,000. That will put you
Mm-hmm.
in 100K, which is 50 weeks, $2,000, 100K.
Mm-hmm. So again, if your account size is, if you have $25,000 worth of IBIT, you're able to make $2,000 in premiums. So now that is a possibility, but also, and we can get into this more in the future episodes. But they will give you an option tree, like depending on what strike price or what price you would set that the contract would execute at. It's going to give you a different amount of premium. So it might be, if it's more risky, they'll give you more, a higher premium. But if it's less risky, then you're going to get a smaller premium. So, of course, we're talking about to replace 100K. You may not need that much, right? You may be looking for half that or something. So, different account sizes will give you ability to make a certain amount instead. So, just to give you kind of in terms of what we saw this week, you can make 1% of your account size in a week with using either a short DTE, throwing another thing out there, but that's just the expiry. So if you're looking at a 1 week option,
It's called days to expiration. Yeah, DTE.
you can make 1% of your account size on each one that you do. So if you're doing it 50 times in 1 year and 1% each time, that means you can make 50% of your account size in 1 year. And that's if you're taking the money out. But if you're reinvesting the money, obviously your account size is going to grow throughout the year too. So it can grow even beyond that.
Yep.
So think about how much you have available, how much IBIT you're actually able to buy, how many full contracts that is actually, and then if you do 1% of that amount times 50% of your account size that you have available, that's maybe how much you can make in a year. Lots of numbers we're throwing out there, I know.
Yeah. And once again, let us know if you like this type of episodes. We are not doing a tutorial per se, but it's more we are sharing ideas. Let us know if you want tutorials. We have other channels. We can maybe put some of those videos in the other channels. So let us know.
All right. Well, hopefully y'all like this kind of a deeper dive onto options. I know for a lot of people, it's kind of a new concept. If you liked what you heard today, just remember to like, subscribe, even comment, ask us questions about options, about how to do it. Again, we're two dudes on the internet, but we're willing to share our experiences with y'all. I think that's all we've got for today. Dale.
Yep. Peace.